Thank you for the introduction, Jason. As Jason mentioned, I'm Todd Medine, the Field Application Engineer here for North America. Today, I will be running you through a brief overview of SiteMetrix. SiteMetrix is our site positioning solution used for numerous applications, like providing real-time cut and fill anywhere on the job. This is helpful in verifying accuracy of any machines using machine control, or in a more conventional grade checking format, where the user would write the cut or fill on the stake for non-GPS equipped machines. Not only can we provide cut and fill, but we can also give the user capability to stake off of line work and points, providing more information like stationing, offsets, and precise horizontal locations like pipe inverts, building corners, and utility locations. I currently have a job loaded and connected to an emulated rover. This is what the user would see on the data collector. The left box is the plan view. The lines represent certain features of the job, just like looking at a set of blueprints. You will see you and the rover represented by the yellow arrow. Wherever we walk, the map will update with the new position. The text items in the upper left is giving us optional data like the pole height and the current elevation along with the design elevation. These can both be used to verify the accuracy of the rover in all files by finding survey set stakes and verifying that you match the surveyor. Notice the north arrow in the upper right hand corner. When holding the data collector, you will face north to orient the plan view to the job. The scale bar on the bottom right will give a user a sense of scale depending on how far you are zoomed in or zoomed out. Notice when I use the zoom buttons, the scale bar changes. In the upper right hand corner, you will see the cross-section view. This will take a slice of the surface that you're standing on and show you what it looks like from left to right. In this example, it appears to be a flat bottom ditch. The lower right is the profile view. This is similar to cross-section, but shows you a slice of the surface going from behind to in front of you. All three views can be adjusted using the zoom in and zoom out functions. Watch what happens as I turn to the right. Notice how the cross-section and profile views change to represent the new direction. Plan view is great at showing you horizontally where you are at on the project. Profile and section will show the user what the surface inside of the project looks like in an easy-to-use graphical interface. Typically, the most useful piece of data is shown here on the lower right. This is showing you the cut or fill right where you and the rover are located. I have bad eyesight, and this number is a little too small for me. Luckily, we have some different views to choose from. In the toolbar, you will see the Views button. Let's cycle through some of the views. Currently, we are on Plan, Section, and Profile. The next view is Plan View only. This would be useful during a driving topo. This is the Cut Fill view, just about as easy as it can get. Give this to any new hand and they can easily verify grade, or if the rover is not being used, it can be mounted to a foreman or supervisor's truck using our included quick disconnect and RAM brand data collector mounts, and they can see what the grade is wherever they drive on the job. The next is Plan View with a large light bar on the side, indicating how much cut or fill you have left. Another good view for users or foremen and supervisors. The final, and one of my favorites, is Plan, Section, and Cut Fill, giving the best of both worlds, an easy-to-read, large, formatted grade indication with two different views helping me keep track of the project in both horizontal and the vertical space. When models are created for a job like this, it is generally built to a finished surface. This would be top of asphalt, concrete, or gravel, depending on the job and materials. The user would have to offset the thickness of the material to get the subgrade. In the lower right-hand corner, you will see the up and down arrows. If we click on the down arrow, you will notice that the offset number changes 1/10 at a time. The cross-section view also has a new line going across it that represents our new offset grade. If we have a large offset or a number not divisible by 1/10, we can manually enter the offset by going into Tools, then Options, then Project Options, and finally Vertical Offset. A negative number means that you want to go lower or cut more. I'll set it at a negative or cut of 1 foot. This is now the job's default vertical offset. So now you don't have to worry about new hands forgetting to add the offset in the morning. It will automatically be done for them. Also, in project options, you can change the amount of each vertical offset button push. By default, it's set to 1/10. I'll change it to 1/2. Now, when I go back into the main screen views, you can see that my new default offset is set to a -1 foot. and when I push the offset buttons, it is now only going 0.5 at a time. For most users, this would be enough data to properly grade a job, but we also offer some additional features for more advanced users. If you would need stationing or a particular offset location based off a line, it is easily accessed by entering into the Tools button and selecting Setup Guideline. And now select the Pick Setup Guideline button. Now it is asking us to choose the line that we want stationing and offset from. I'll choose the center of this ditch. Notice the arrows? This is telling us which direction is up station. If for some reason this is going the wrong way, you can easily reverse it using the flip button. In this menu, we can also offset the line. If we wanted to cut 2 foot behind back of curb and the line was not already offset, you could do that here. A positive number would offset to the right of up station and a negative would go to the left. I'll choose a positive 5 foot here and press OK. Now you can clearly see the original red line I selected, and the new blue line is the offset that I added. This makes it easy for the user to verify that they have correctly offset the line in the proper direction. If I knew I would use the line again, I could save it and then load it when needed. I'll now press accept, and you can see in the main screen views that I have a station and offset in the upper left corner, guiding me to my newly created guideline. We also have the ability to create simple designs in the field. If we go to Tools and take a look at Create Flat Pad, we could create a pad that extend out forever using the same elevation. The elevation can be assigned 2 different ways. The first is established by setting the rover on a known grade or stake and recording its elevation. The second way would be to just enter the elevation manually. Keep in mind that the job's elevation was assigned during the localization. Create Slope is another simple to use tool that will allow more complex designs to be made in the field. Here, we have allowed the user to first create a design by using a guideline to control slope bearing, grade, and main vol. The user can then choose what kind of crossfall by either percent or slope ratio. Not only can we choose that on one side of the guidance line, but we can add a crossfall percent or ratio on the other side of the guidance line. Using this, you can adjust the slope off of any line work you have loaded. This would be useful for road slope redesigns or if a contractor needed a place to get rid of extra material. If a model or localization is not available, we can use the rover to establish a baseline instead of using guidance line. To do this, we just record the 2 points that we'd want to use as a baseline. We can use the first elevation and a main fall percent, or use both elevations to tie 2 existing features together. We can project the main fall slope that we created both forward and backward from the established baseline. It will maintain the main fall slope that you have established. For underground guys, the forward slope will hold the first recorded baseline's elevation, and you can dial in the percent here. For instance, if the first point we shot was the invert of a newly placed manhole, and the second shot was taken at the site of the next manhole you were digging to, you would just enter in the pipe's percent fall and the data collector would take care of the rest. If you shot the 2 baseline points on 2 existing features and you want to grade in between them, then leave this forward slope as is. The next menu is asking you to create a cross-section template to the associated baseline. If this was for a pipe, I would leave it at no cross slope. This will give us a flat bottom trench with no percent fall left or right of the baseline. I would change the width to something more reasonable for a trench, usually the width of the bucket on the mainline excavator, plus a foot or 2. If I wanted to build a road, I would tell the configuration I want 2 cross slopes. By default, the left is first. I'll give it a 15-foot wide lane with a -2% crossfall. Then I'll hit the arrow to go to the right side, enter in the same values. You can now see the cross-section view of the crown road. If you wanted to add more features like a V-ditch or a tie-in slope, we can add up to 6 cross slopes for a total of 3 per side. Remember, the baseline is the more prominent dashed dot style line in the middle. I find it easier to build from the center out. I now have my crown road set on the left. I'll build a simple V-ditch. For inslopes, we usually use slope ratios instead of percents, which we have the capability to do. And just remember that the negative is going to lower the grade and a positive will raise it. On the left side, I will give just a simple tie-in fill slope of a 2-to-1 slope ratio, and I will make sure that I extend it out far enough to catch the daylight at the bottom of the slope. If you don't need the last cross slope, just give it a width of 0. Notice, if I change the middle cross-section to a different percent, it'll update all of the cross-sections behind it. Once I press finish and move to the newly created design, you can see that we have built a complex road with minimal effort. We can also edit the slope using the buttons on the bottom of the screen, and we can also save it for future use. SiteMetrix also contains a full topo suite that will allow you to record a precise point both horizontally and vertically. Doing this will give you the capability to record any of the existing utilities marked by the local utility companies before they are wiped out, or even worse, marked in the wrong location. You can topo existing ground in a 30 to 50 foot grid. This will give you a surface that you can then use to compare the existing ground to the proposed grade to verify your and/or the engineer's earth moving quantities. This would also be useful for tracking and billing time and material jobs. When the job is complete, you can use the topo feature to record and then hand in professional looking, accurate as-builts with all of the material quantities and done directly from the data collector. To use this, we start in the main screen views and select Store Points button. Coordinate file is where we'd give the topo a name and save it. This will keep the data neat and organized. Either select the existing file you want to add or create a new file. Description can be used for features like manholes, pipe inverts, and fire hydrants. AutoStore will let us select distance or time to shoot between 2 points automatically. This is useful with large site topos where you can use a truck, four-wheeler, or UTV to drive the site while shooting a topo instead of walking it. Now, in the main screen view, you will notice that the view and buttons have changed. To store a single point manually, select Store Point. If a description is needed, we can go back into settings and force the user to select a description by checking on the prompt for description. Now, when I record a point, it will ask for a description. For a driving topo, just click on the Start Auto, and when I start walking or driving, SiteMetrix will automatically record the points based off the time or distance settings that I gave it earlier. If using a truck, four-wheeler, or side-by-side, you can click on the button to Pickup Truck. This will also change your pre-saved rod height so you don't drive a 100-acre site just to realize you forgot to change it and all of your points are off by 2 feet in elevation. Due to time constraints, I cannot go into every single feature that we have inside of SiteMetrix, but I'd like to give you some insight of the more advanced features that we have to offer you. In Volumetrics, we can easily give you the quantities of stockpile and also compare 2 different surfaces for quantities. Along with this, we have the ability to save the volumes to a PDF from the data collector. Almost every single aspect of the software can be customized for you. We can change what the bottom buttons do. The background, surface, and light bar colors can be changed. We can choose which layers you see in the line work of the plan view. You can change any of the text in the main screen views. You can even change the size of the text. All this makes it easy to configure a rover for a new user with limited options, or a power user can make SiteMetrix perfectly suited for their individual workflow. You also have the ability to password protect certain settings, jobs, and features to keep rogue button pushers from getting into trouble. We import and export numerous different file types, from everyday DXF and DWGs to TopCon proprietary formats for customers with mixed fleets. If I have missed something or you'd like more information about a particular feature or product, please reach out to me personally, or you can ask a question in the chat box now. I'll now give it back to the presenters to answer any questions. Thank you.